Have you ever looked up at the moon and wondered? It's our constant companion in the night sky, a glowing, silent world just floating up there. Then one day, we were told we went there. We walked on it. It was July 20th, 1969, a moment that changed everything. Millions watched on their fuzzy television screens. They saw grainy images of astronauts bouncing on a dusty alien surface. Close-up, grainy black and white television screen from 1969 showing Buzz Aldrin stepping onto the moon. It was a triumph of human ingenuity, a testament to our courage and our dreams. But what if it wasn't real? What if the most incredible achievement in human history was actually the most elaborate movie ever made? This isn't just some crazy idea that popped up yesterday. The whispers started almost as soon as the Apollo 11 crew returned to Earth. To understand the doubts, we first need to understand the official story. The Apollo 11 mission was the culmination of a massive effort. It involved over 400,000 people and a nation's ambition. On July 16, 1969, the colossal Saturn V ignited its engines. It was the most powerful machine ever built by humans. It roared to life, shaking the ground in Florida. On top of this controlled explosion sat three men: Commander Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins. Their destination, an object 250,000 miles away, a place no human had ever been. The journey took about 3 days. 3 days coasting through the black, silent void. Michael Collins stayed in orbit in Colombia. He was the loneliest man for a little while, Earth on one side and the moon on the other. Armstrong and Aldrin climbed into the lunar module, the Eagle, a spider-like craft built for descent. As they headed down, alarms blared. The landing computer was overloaded. Neil Armstrong took manual control, steering the Eagle over boulders. With seconds of fuel left, the Eagle touched down. Now let's get to the good stuff. The evidence that the whole thing was a hoax. The number one exhibit for most conspiracy theorists is the American flag. In the videos and photos, the flag appears to be waving or fluttering. But wait a minute, there's no air on the moon, there's no wind. So how can a flag wave? It's a fantastic question. It seems like a classic Hollywood blunder. A director on a secret soundstage forgetting to turn off the fan. This single detail has convinced many people that the astronauts were not on the moon but in a studio. The claim is simple and powerful. On Earth, flags wave because wind pushes against the fabric. The moon has virtually no atmosphere, a vacuum so complete that there's nothing to create wind. Therefore, a flag on the moon should hang completely limp like a wet towel. Yet in the footage we see Armstrong and Aldrin struggling to plant the flagpole into the hard lunar soil. As they twist it back and forth, the flag ripples. Unraveling the photo mysteries, another huge piece of evidence for the hoax theory is found in the photographs. If you look at any of the famous pictures from the lunar surface, you see bright white spacesuits of the astronauts, the gray, dusty landscape, the blackness of space. But, what's missing? Stars. On a clear night here on Earth, away from city lights, the sky is filled with them. The moon has no atmosphere to obscure the view, so the sky should have been blazing with stars, brighter than we could ever imagine. The argument is that a filmmaker, creating the scene in a studio, would find it incredibly difficult to accurately map out the star fields. A black backdrop is simple. A scientifically accurate starscape is hard. Think about taking a picture of a friend at night with a bright campfire in the background. You have two choices. You can set your camera to capture your friend's face, lit by the fire, or you could set your camera to capture the faint light of the stars. You can't have both. The conspiracy theories don't stop with flags and stars. Skeptics have also spent a lot of time analyzing the shadows in the Apollo photos. On the moon, there should only be one source of light, the sun. Therefore, all shadows should be parallel to each other. They should all point away from the sun in perfectly straight parallel lines. However, in some photos, the shadows from different objects like astronauts and rocks appear to point in slightly different directions. They are not parallel. This, the theorists claim, is proof of multiple light sources, like the large studio lights you'd find on a movie set. The key to this puzzle is perspective. The lunar surface isn't a flat floor, it's bumpy, with craters, hills, and slopes. These variations in the terrain can make parallel lines appear to converge or diverge. Another shadow-related claim is that you can see details of objects that are in shadow. If the sun is the only light, his front should be pitch black. But this ignores another huge source of light on the moon itself. The lunar surface is a fantastic reflector. This reflected light from the dusty ground was more than enough to illuminate the front of his suit, acting as a natural fill light. Beyond the conspiracies, the Apollo 11 mission is filled with incredible and sometimes funny human moments. For instance, when Buzz Aldrin became the second man to walk on the moon, his first words were less poetic than Armstrong's. He looked around at the stark alien landscape and said, "Magnificent desolation." It perfectly captured the strange beauty and emptiness of the place. It wasn't just a mission of science, it was an adventure filled with awe and wonder. The astronauts were like kids in the most amazing sandbox, bouncing around in the low gravity. Did you know the first meal on the moon was communion? Buzz Aldrin had brought a small communion kit. Before stepping out of the Eagle, he observed the rite, pouring wine into a chalice in 1/6 gravity, then radioed Earth asking people to give thanks in their own way. A quiet, personal moment amid a global broadcast. A reminder, they were real people. So after looking at the evidence, what's the verdict? The waving flag was crumpled, the stars were washed out by the bright lunar surface, the shadows were playing tricks with perspective. For every single claim of a hoax, there is a simple, logical, and scientifically sound explanation. More than that, we have actual, physical proof. We have nearly 400 kilograms, that's 842 pounds, of moon rocks. These rocks have been studied by thousands of scientists in countries all over the world. They show evidence of having been formed in a no-oxygen, no-water environment and are covered in tiny craters from micrometeorite impacts. Believing the moon landing was faked does a huge disservice to the 400,000 people who poured their hearts and souls into the Apollo program. It insults the memory of the astronauts who risked their lives, including the 3 Apollo 1 crew members who died in a fire during a launch rehearsal. Furthermore, we can actually see the Apollo landing sites from modern orbiters. NASA's Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has taken high-resolution pictures of all 6 Apollo landing sites. You can see descent stages and rover tracks.